What makes Lady Gaga's return back to her unique pop sound resonate with so many people is due to the fact that we simply believe her. I believe her words, her music. Everything feels very authentic and natural. Even if the scenarios written in those songs aren't factually happening in her real life, in real time, the way she sings them makes them feel like they are. Hi, my name is Molly and I make pop culture YouTube videos. Today we are dissecting and analyzing Lady Gaga's 7th studio album, Mayhem. When I tell you that this album snuck up on me in the best way possible, I would not be exaggerating. Because of how much I thoroughly enjoyed this entire piece of art, I could not think of anything else besides crafting this video for you all.
You know, what is your personal mayhem?
Before we dive in, please be sure to like and subscribe this video. It really does help me out. Now, before we dive into the tracks, I think it's important to note that I am not like an original little monster. I really enjoy Lady Gaga's early onset to fame. I'm thinking specifically of The Fame, no pun intended. However, when she stirred into the Tony Bennett territory, Joanne era, I wasn't fully integrated into the art anymore. Not that there was anything wrong with the art. Personally, it just wasn't my cup of tea. I actually look back at those eras for her and really appreciate how iconic they were. I mean, they did resonate with a lot of people, just personally not for me. With Mayhem, it felt like a return to normalcy, but in the most artistic and chaotic way possible. Because when it comes to Gaga, what even is normal anyway? She has always been known to push boundaries, make people talk, but at the same time, she creates art that represents who she is in that moment, represents the kind of art she wants to authentically put out. That's what I love about her the most. She has said that in her previous eras, she would have this idea that every song on an album needs to all kind of fit together, like perfect pieces of a puzzle. That way, everything on the album represents that era, everything kind of goes seamlessly together. She has mentioned in interviews that Mayhem is the first time she has kind of thrown away that idea that all songs on the album needs to, fit together. She has mentioned that this is the first time she steered away from that idea. I kind of disagree with this thought process because to me, Mayhem being what it is perfectly represents Gaga in every way possible. It has all the elements of every kind of music that she likes, from 80s synths to rock to grunge to ballads that we've seen throughout her career. Mayhem is so perfectly chaotic in a way that Gaga owns and does best. When watching her Apple Music interview with Zane Lowe, she has confirmed that she feels like this album is a return back to her original sound, her original authentic Lady Gaga that we were first introduced to on The Fame. I feel like this is incredibly refreshing to know personally because that is one of the first interpretations I had of this album, is that it was a return back to what we first met her as in that Fame era. It is really refreshing that she's so self-aware. She knows kind of what everyone else is thinking and she completely agrees with it. Makes me feel a little less crazy. When also doing research for this video, I had to look at, who's produced this album, her collaborators, and there's 2 collaborators that really stood out to me the most on this album. The first one is obviously her fiance, Michael Polanski. He helped her produce a good amount of this album, surprisingly. I say surprisingly because he is a businessman, entrepreneur who holds, several roles among nonprofits and companies. I don't think he's ever produced an album before, helped write some of the songs. And on the flip side, you have Lady Gaga, who is this, arguably a businesswoman in her own right, but she's also this creative and musical genius. She has spoken about Michael and how she knew that he was the one. Oftentimes she talks about like his genuine heart and that he was simply like a pure friend to her, didn't want anything from her. And she feels like that's what resonated the most with him when she was falling in love with him. Any Gaga interview you listen to, they'll always bring up asking about her fiance. And she always says like the most sweet and nicest things about him. Yeah, to me, it was very interesting that he helped write a lot of this album because it just makes me wonder, like, which lines did he contribute to? And are some of those lines my favorite off the album? Or are some of those lines, where I think fell off a little bit? Another strong collaborator and producer, writer on this record is Watt. He stuck out to me due to his talent of turning a lot of pop music into like subgenres. He kind of has this like rock overtone to his producing style. We see this in Miley Cyrus's 2020 album Plastic Hearts, which is when I was pretty much introduced to him as like knowing who he is as a person. I have seen a lot of discourse online about Plastic Hearts being compared to Mayhem, and although I have to disagree on this, that conversation's probably for another time. I can maybe see why, looking at the surface of these two albums, there are some standout elements that do relate to each other. Let's get into the fun part, the music. We're starting off with Disease, the opening track. Originally her first lead single for this album before deciding to include Die With A Smile, which we will have to talk about in this video as well. But therefore, since Die With A Smile came out and then made it into the track list, Disease technically is her second single for this album. It didn't perform as much as I believe she was hoping it would. It's not an awful song. It's not the best song. It's kind of, for me, a middle of the road kind of song for Miss Gaga. I'm not gonna lie, when I first heard Disease, I was like, it's okay. Like, that's kind of what my initial thoughts were on it. It was okay. We had just come off of watching Katy Perry have a not so impactful return to pop music with her album 143. Genuinely, it kind of made me a little scared for Lady Gaga's return to music. I mean, I know she's been continuously putting out music. She hasn't taken like a super long break or anything, but I felt like this was her first return back to, like, you know, as we mentioned, her authentic pop sound. So whenever Katy Perry's 143 album flopped and Katy Perry got so much, she basically got dragged through the mud on the internet. I was scared that Lady Gaga was going to be getting the same kind of treatment. And maybe that was big clown of me to say that because it is Lady Gaga, but as I've mentioned before, I'm not like an original little monster. I loved her music, but I wasn't like a stan, you know? I just liked things here and there that I heard of, but I still respected her. With that being said, I always hope for the best for these pop girlies. I always love a good pop girl comeback. I love to also see a pop star still rule and dominate her art, her craft, and the charts after 30 years old, because whether we like it or not, the industry, the world tends to kind of dismiss women after their 30s. And I think we are changing this mindset slowly but surely. We see Taylor Swift having like the biggest moments of her career after her 30s start. So the best part about Disease for me is the meaning behind the lyrics. I think it is a good starter for this album. It kind of puts you in the mind space where you need to be at. She wrote on her Twitter upon releasing this song that the song is about facing her fears, and specifically these fears being parts of herself. She's made it known in interviews that she was very terrified, scared to come back to this original authentic sound, because when she was starting out in the industry, she was at a completely different place in her career. I mean, she was more of that starving artist type of person in New York, just focused on her art, her music, which she still is. But that starving artist mentality is something that she won't ever have again, because she is at this whole other level of fame that she'll always have like a core audience that will buy her records, stream her songs, support her. Whereas when she first started off in the industry, she didn't have that. I'm interpreting that maybe she felt scared that she was going to be having kind of like an imposter syndrome. Like, can I really go back to making this original sound when I'm not in that place anymore? I can understand why she was a little worried, a little scared to go back to it. She had strayed not super far from it, but with Joanne, with Tony Bennett, she'd kind of turned into this more ballad-driven, deep-cut, emotion-driven artist, and Disease perfectly represents how she was feeling when returning back to this album. So I think it's perfect to put as the leading track and originally the leading single for the album. She continues this theme of self-reflection throughout the album, but even more so with her second track, Abracadabra. This is the song that really, I think, broke her through this original pop space that she previously owned. When Disease came out, we were like, okay, it's fine, it's cool. When Abracadabra premiered during the Super Bowl commercial break, she had a MasterCard sponsored music video play. That's when I think the real hype for this album really rose. Not just from Little Monsters, and of course the Little Monsters were sighing in relief, like, yes, we're back. We are so freaking back. But even the general public was like, okay, this is a bop. When I first heard Abracadabra, it gave me the same kind of feeling I had when I listened to Applause for the first time from her art pop era. It made me excited. It felt very authentic to her. She does this sound so well, and even she admits that as well. She has spoken about this song in interviews, and she says the song is very much her sound, and I couldn't agree more.
I tried to really like own who I am and just be proud of like my approach to music, my approach to pop music. And then also like even through Abracadabra, which is very different from Perfect Celebrity, take ownership over something that I started a long time ago.
It gives the same as when I first listened to Just Dance. She owns the sound completely. We then get into another Gaga-like song, Garden of Eden. The feeling I get at the beginning of this song is a little eerie, but also fun dance pop at the same time, which she loves to mix both of these emotions and feelings together to create her sound. It's almost like she took the eerie feeling and the dance pop feeling, made a baby with those feelings, and that is Garden of Eden. The chorus of this song is the part of the song where you think, yes, this is a bop.
I could be your girlfriend for the weekend. You could be my boyfriend.
The post-chorus is very reminiscent of the kind of pop we saw back in 2012. I instantly thought Peacock by Katy Perry, that repetitive, boppy pop, kind of a bubblegum pop, but like electro pop vibe.
Peacock, cock, cock, you peacock, cock. You peacock, cock, cock. You. I'll take you to the Garden of Eden.
But it's repetitive at this point. The rest of the song really builds it up to that repetitive, cheeky part. And it's definitely a song that is meant for like the highest points of clubbing out with your friends, the dancing, the feeling you get when you're just like letting loose and having a great time. Now, Perfect Celebrity. Perfect Celebrity is when the night or the album takes a turn. And this is the first song off the album after first listen that truly stuck with me, that had my mind blown. I kept going back to it. I was starting the album off at Perfect Celebrity, and I'm strangely still not sick of it yet. It still lives in my mind rent-free. What I love about this song is that not only is she being like very honest and angry about some of the obstacles she faces, being in the public eye, being this massive superstar, she's dipping her toes into that like electro grunge sound, which I don't know if we see that very often from her, that like electro grunge sound. I feel like maybe we've gotten hints of it before, but it really went like full force, head first into this genre of like grunge electro pop. It just feels like at one point of the song, she is truly rocking out and like letting any ill will be removed from her body. It's like we're listening to her therapy session, and that is truly entertaining to me and moving. She then slows down the album just a little bit with Vanish Into You. And Vanish Into You, when I heard it, I was like, this is a love song. This is her truly expressing some of her feelings for Michael, her fiance. I think it's a beautiful thing that she has found someone she's so happy and safe with. But although the lyrics are deeply rooted in loving someone so much that you like want to be a part of them, it still brings those electro pop elements into it. It's not a ballad, but if it was produced just like slightly differently, it could have been a ballad. And then just when you thought Perfect Celebrity was a shocker but addicting song that you just kept going back to, Killah is here to remind you that she is always going to be experimental one way or another. This is her most funky and groovy track off of the album. This track is in collaboration with French DJ and electronic musician Gasafastine. She's mentioned to Rolling Stone that it was the song on the album that really pushed her the most out of her comfort zone, and I can absolutely see that. Even her performance on SNL for this absolutely had me gagged. And it also really made me respect her for picking this song out of all the songs she had on this record. She did Abracadabra, obviously already a single, but then she picked Killah. And I think that was her wanting to prove to herself that she could really push the boundaries with her musical styling and really test herself. And I think she did a great job. At one point in the song, she like loses it. And it provokes an emotion of rage that is like kind of similar to Perfect Celebrity. But the difference is that this song feels like a journey to get to that point. It's truly a journey of emotion while you're listening to this song. It's very groovy, starts off very groovy, but then there's like a climax in the song where she is just rocking out, letting it loose. And then after you're off of that journey with Killah, you're put into the mindset of being in a disco club with enduring lights around you. And this mindset is given to us by Zombie Boy. Zombie Boy instantly gives me the urge to like get up, dance, truly just feel music. Lovingly, this song is a tribute to her late friend, Rick Genest. He was a dear friend of hers that passed away, and his nickname was Zombie Boy. And what I love about this concept that Zombie Boy is actually a tribute song is that you're not listening to it getting sad or feeling like super emotional by listening to it. You're getting up wanting to like celebrate, have a good time, dance. And I think that's a really nice way to make a song like a tribute song. Like, it's supposed to be a celebration of life. We shouldn't feel sad or depressed from it, but at the same time, you're appreciating who the person was. And I think that if Zombie Boy was hearing this song, he would be absolutely gagged.
Put your paws all over me, you zombie boy, you zombie boy.
Love Drug, in my opinion, is one of her most underrated on this album. I think people are really either drawn or dismissive to the song based off of the title alone. Love Drug, Love Game. But Love Drug and Love Game are like two completely different songs, different sounds. One of her first hits, Love Game, is like one I go back to this day, but it's a completely different song than Love Drug. To me, Love Drug provokes the same emotion I get from Miley Cyrus's single Midnight Sky.
Yeah, it's been a long night and the mirror's telling me to go home. But it's been a long time since I felt this good on my own. River in my eyes, I've got a poem in my throat. I hear the music and it takes me by surprise.
It's truly like about reflection and ultimately feels like a disco jam. You're looking to escape the pain, enjoy the night, and that is ultimately like the vibe I get from Love Drug. I don't want to feel, I don't want to cry, I just want to dance until I feel alright. Ooh, so good. That is such a good line. After further listening to Mayhem, I have decided that How Bad Do You Want Me is the most shocking and out of left field song I have heard from Gaga on this album.
That girl in your head ain't real. How bad do you want me for real?
It sounds like a song that would truly live on Taylor Swift's 1989 2015 album. Everything from like the 80s synths to the pop production, layering of like soft but like far away vocals that Taylor Swift does a lot, especially in the 1989 era. And even the writing like screams Taylor Swift. When she says she's on your mind like all the time, but I got a tattoo for us last week, that is a lyric that Taylor Swift would freaking write. Am I wrong? It's not like the writing style that we usually see from Lady Gaga, in my opinion. I think she totally owns this sound also. I don't think it's like a stab at Taylor or even a copy of Taylor. It's like Lady Gaga trying on Taylor's style for fun, out of respect, you know? It doesn't feel out of place for Gaga. It definitely works. It feels like a joyous celebration of music that she probably respects and listens to, like every other song on this album. You can truly feel all the inspirational elements from every song on this album and where they come from, whether it's Taylor Swift or whether it's Michael Jackson, David Bowie. She really makes them her own. It doesn't feel like a copy or like it doesn't feel like a copy and paste. Don't Call Tonight is a song that didn't grab me at first, but it did grow on me in a way that I now cannot go a day without listening to. It's kind of like about like a hookup that is toxic, and she knows that she should not go back to, begging them, please do not call tonight. I can't help myself. Don't call tonight unless you want to hurt me. It's a very deep song, but like a lot of the other songs on this record, very disco dance club vibes. It's fun that she's taken this like simple plea and making it a pop anthem, which I really like. Lady Gaga then responds to her career thus far with Shadow of a Man. This is a very liberating song. Maybe her most liberating song off of the album. It instantly reminds me of like the cutthroat pop music that we saw from Michael Jackson in the 80s. Everywhere from like the lyrics to like the production is very Michael Jackson 80s era. And she truly knows what it's like to dance in the shadow of a man, as she says.
That song is like so much a response to my career, you know, and what it always felt like to be the only girl in the room a lot of the time.
Yeah.
To always be like standing in the shadow of a man because there were so many around me.
With her career, she's talked about, you know, when she was first starting, when she was that starving artist, she was not her own boss. And it took a long time for her to get to the place of being her own boss. And really, this song just feels like breaking out of that shadow of a man shadow and being your own boss. Okay, The Beast is when the album feels like it kind of halts to a brief stop. We get this dance club anthem, Shadow of a Man, and then The Beast, it's like, let's turn it back. Let's slow it down a bunch. Production instantly slows down. And to be honest, when I usually run it back and start again with Garden of Eden. This is the moment in the album, I'm not gonna lie, y'all. After Shadow of a Man, I go, okay, let's run it back. It's almost like she's singing about a werewolf to me. I think maybe I am just so not understanding the entire purpose of the song. It feels sexual in a weird way, but it also just, yeah, it gives me the vibe that she's singing about Jacob Black from Twilight. Some werewolf vibes going on. Like, I truly feel like Jacob Black Twilight fan edits for this would go crazy. They would go crazy with this song. And then I think about like the deeper meaning behind the lyrics, because I really sat there and was like, okay, what is actually happening? There's always a purpose. There's always some kind of like theme or meaning behind these Gaga songs.
What I believe about this is this record is also about Michael and I, and that this song is also about me and being Lady Gaga. Like what The Beast is who I become when I'm on stage.
This is her return back to that electro dark pop sound that we saw in her early career. To me, The Beast represents that journey for her. Next, we have Blade of Grass, and this is a beautiful song written about like a real life event that happened between her and her fiance, Michael. She has said in an interview with Zane Lowe that she mentions that during a conversation about proposals in their backyard, she mentioned that simply wrapping a blade of grass around her finger would be her act of grace. If you listen to the lyrics, it's very straight to the point. Definitely a love song. I think I am just so enthralled with like the dance pop music on this album that I'm personally not there for The Beast and Blade of Grass yet. Doesn't say I won't be. Doesn't say I won't be. I'm not saying that I'm not a fan of them, because I think they're beautiful songs. Blade of Grass is kind of growing on me a little bit more. It's also interesting that she confirmed that this is her favorite song post-album finish. And even though it's not mine, I understand why it's her favorite song, because it is so intertwined into her real life, whereas some of these other songs might just be more of like a fictional piece that she's writing or referencing. It is a beautiful ballad. She does a beautiful ballad very well. To finish off the album, she of course has her collaboration with Bruno Mars, Die With a Smile. And I want to hate on this song so much due to the fact that it is projected to be her most streamed song to date. It's going to pass Shallow. Like, it is going to pass Shallow, which is insane to me. Also another song that I'm like, how is this Lady Gaga's most streamed song to date?
Is there something else you're searching for?
If there's something about the general public will eat up a ballad, especially between like a man, woman. Lady Gaga, whether we want to admit it or not, she does ballads so well. She has the best voice, and the general public eats that up. They love a Lady Gaga ballad, especially if it's with an opposing man. Something else that falls into Die With a Smile is that Bruno Mars is a huge artist. Similarly to me as like The Weeknd or Ed Sheeran. Like, he is like a huge force to be reckoned with. Whether you're a huge fan or not, he has so many hits that general public eats him up. So if you take all of these elements combined, you get Die With a Smile, and that is why it is a massive hit. In the grand scheme of things, is this her best well-represented song of hers? No, it's not. It's not. And if you're a Little Monster, or even a new Little Monster like myself, you know that there are so many other Gaga songs that are worth mentioning before Die With a Smile. I am proud of her for this commercially successful song due to the fact that it really introduces this new album to people that might not have given it a chance. With a song this commercially successful, it really does help drive the overall album that it lives on. It is absolutely insane that with 121 days leading Spotify's daily global chart, this duet became the longest running #1 hit in the history of Spotify. Think about how many big songs there have been. And this one is breaking those records. In conclusion, this album changed my life.
No, I don't think you understand. I'm obsessed.
It's a collection of music that I cannot get away from, simply because I'm obsessed. I am obsessed with it. I'm pretty sure upon my first listen, the next week, my Spotify AI DJ told me I listened to like 644 minutes Lady Gaga, and I know for a fact that it was all dedicated to this specific album. So all of my thoughts is coming from a pop music lover that I love to give albums a chance. I love to give a pop album a chance to see if it really sticks with me, and Mayhem definitely did just that. Dare I say, this may be Lady Gaga's best album. Sue me. Let me know in the comments below what's your like favorite song off of this record. I did make a tier list ranking on my TikTok that you can watch. If you want to follow me over there, it's at She's Mali with 2 E's. And I make a lot of pop culture content over there too, so give me a follow. As a side note, I want to say Lady Gaga commented on my ranking video that you can find on my channel. She was kind of defending me for ranking her songs a certain way because, you know, people were coming at me. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this album. I'm definitely still learning so much about her career and about her, so I look forward to diving into whatever she has next. Thank you. Have a great day.